All right, guys, we're talking all things politics and pop culture, okay? Because the presidents, they're still sitting down to talk to these podcasters. Beyonce is coming out for Kamala, but where was Jay-Z in all of this? And now we have character AI allegedly telling a teen to commit suicide. I'm not too sure, but we're here to unpack it. Welcome back to Black and Classic Podcast.
Blackness, that black power, that black pushing them to identify.
So, first up, I definitely want to jump into character AI and this teen suicide. It's a very sensitive topic, so I'm not going to go too deep into the specific situation just because I want to respect the parents and them grieving. I don't want to go in and blame the parents, make it seem like it's the parents' fault, nothing like that. What I want to really discuss is what I've been saying all along. We have to pay attention to how addicted people are to social media. Social media has really gotten people's minds fucked up, and AI is just going to add another layer to that. That's just going to take it to a whole different place. I mean, it's going to go deeper and it's going to go darker fast, okay? Because social media is something where, like, yeah, you can just kind of like get off your phone, maybe delete the app, delete the pages, and you move on. AI is where you are now building a connection with someone, something, a robot in your mind. And I don't think, not even adults, I was going to say kids aren't prepared, but I don't even think adults are prepared because we've never seen this before. We've never been in a situation where something that doesn't exist is communicating to us as if it were real, and how that can affect our psyche, right? So, with this being a teen and him being so young and having a impressionable mind, I think that that really is going to start affecting a lot of us in ways that we don't even know. Okay. So for this situation, I think, the parents are trying to sue the company, and I understand that. But I think for the general public, those who are talking about it, tweeting about it, posting about it, we really got to look at what this means, right? Because I've always said when I have kids, I don't know if I'm going to want them to be on social media, to have their phones, to have tablets and laptops and things like that at such a young age, just because I understand what's on the internet, right? Like what is out there in the world. Some of that stuff kids don't need access to. Taking a small like side step, right? I saw on TikTok there was a mom who said her child basically is now going by, I think, is it a therian? Some sort of like furry animal where they identify themselves as being an animal, which is crazy because we all are animals anyway, but basically the child, it, they, whatever, identified as a furry or an animal. So they wanted to wear collars and tails and ears and all of these different things. And so when the mom sat down, the mom, first of all, was like, oh, I'm going to be open minded and love my child and blah, blah, blah. But when she sat down to talk to the child was like, oh, yeah, I learned about it on YouTube. And see, that's where that's where things get tricky for me, is the fact that you don't know what your child is looking up, falling into, what they're believing, what they're reading, what they have access to. It can be something as simple as watching an anime, and they get so drawn up and caught up in this world, and then that leads to something else, which leads to something else. Like, it is just really, really hard to, and that's why I guess I give grace for parents, because it's very hard to say, well, just take the phone away or just block them from this site. Anything can lead to a darker place if it's not monitored. But how do you monitor something where it also can have a benefit? It can be something that's good for them. So it's very tricky. It's very difficult to understand. But I think when these cases or these situations arise, we have to be able to say, hey, something is going on here, and we got to try to troubleshoot, I guess, the issue, right? Because first you had social media and cyberbullying, and that was, a kid bullying another kid, right? And you could just say, well, talk to the kid, stop the kid, tell the kid to get off the internet, those types of things. But now you have a child talking to something that doesn't exist. And because this thing that doesn't exist is learning the child, learning the behaviors and the psyche of this child, now it's responding to it. So very, very, very dangerous. I don't think we're ever going to get an answer because I believe we're at a place where everyone wants to build up technology, and it's going to grow faster than the human mind can actually comprehend. And it's going to be a lot of downfalls to that. A lot of downfalls. I think this is just one. I definitely believe, like I've always said, there needs to be a case study on this shit because it's really gonna get fucked up. Like the fact that this kid is just sitting on here. First of all, he thought it was like a Game of Thrones character, which is already really wild. Like he's in this romantic love type of situation with a fictional character in and of itself. And then on top of that, for it to be an AI thing is just so wild and so bizarre. And of course, there's a lot of people you could point the fingers at. You can point the fingers at the creators of this AI platform. You could point the fingers at the parents. Like you can point the fingers at a lot of people, but I think we all as a collective have to start to figure out how do we handle this, because it's only going to get crazier. It's only going to get crazier. And if we just kind of ignore it, be like, oh, that's a one-off, our generations coming are going to be fucking screwed. They're going to be screwed because this is not a one off. And if it is a one off, what's going to happen is one teen's going to hear about it and say, oh, well, that won't be me. But they're going to go and try to build a relationship with AI. And next thing you know, I'm telling you, kids are going to want to be married to AI. People are going to like it's going to be strange. It's going to be bizarre, and it's happening fucking fast. We're only in 2024, babe. It's finna get crazy, and it's finna get crazy fast. All right. Now, in speaking of social media addiction, I said last episode, I believe it was last episode, I'm pretty sure, the presidents, VPs, I don't need them sitting down with podcasters. What happens is they understand the obsession, the love that people have for podcasters. I mean, myself included, right? But like, I don't need you to sit down with a podcaster to give me your views on things and to give me, your thoughts on policies and what you plan to do. I don't need you to do that. Again, like I said, you should sit down with a journalist, but they understand that the American people are by and large kind of dumb, and it's easier for them to see their favorite podcaster sitting down with Kamala or sitting down with Trump or sitting down with JD Vance or Tim Walz. Like it's easier for us to see that than for us to tune into MSNBC, and watch the same type of questioning. Because if you think they're not like, they're given a list of questions and they're just asking it in their own, they're jazzing it up a little bit, but it's the same questions. They're told what to ask and what not to ask, what roads not to go down. And they just kind of put a little sauce on it, and then they ask the questions. They can do the same thing on MSNBC or Fox or CNN, ABC, but they're not, because the American people are a little, I'll let you fill in the blank. And we don't care to see that. You know what I mean? We're so wrapped up in social media and the clickbaits and, what can be done really fast, the reels, the shorts, everything like that. That's how we want to digest things. We want to digest it quickly. We want it to be funny, and we want to move on. We don't really want to get too deep into it. And that's also another issue. We definitely should want to get deep into what's going on in our world and our politics, whether it be at the federal level, at the state level, at the local level. We need to be involved. But they know Americans don't give a shit. So, of course, they're going to sit down with the podcasters, and they're going to do all these social media campaigns and, all of the things, instead of making sure that their policies are heard and not just, I don't know, like playing into how dumb we are. You know what I mean? And with that being said, JD Vance, I saw, sat down with Tim Dillon. If you don't know, search him up on YouTube. He sat down with Tim Dillon. I thought it was very, very interesting. I caught like maybe the last 15, 20 maybe minutes. So I didn't see all of it. I'll go back and watch all of it, but it was interesting. I think what I took away is that JD Vance has a head on his shoulders. He's definitely priming himself to run for president. He's the only person that I can say from watching that has actually talked about policies. We all know Miss what is it? Kamala? I'm trying to say it right, but Lord knows I probably won't. Especially if you know me, I'm terrible with names and pronunciations, babe. It's not my thing, it's not my thing. So, see, I already forgot the girl name. Harris. Harris loves a good run around question. Okay, you can ask her a direct question. What color is the sky? She's gonna say, well, Trump will say the sky is green, but we all. And it's like, girl, answer the question. What color is the sky? Like, we don't have time to play the games, okay? And she's a great what's the word, filibuster. She just goes around and around and around, and it's like, Miss Kamala, girl, answer the question. That's all we're asking. Answer the question. But back to JD Vance. JD Vance is someone who definitely, I wouldn't mind, I'm not gonna lie, if he ran for president, I might give him a shot. He is very clear. He understands, what he wants to do. He has a vision for the country. Like, I can respect that. He's not just up there pointing fingers and blaming people. He wants to talk facts. He wants to talk policy. He wants to talk what needs to be done, what's a good outlook for America. That's all I can ask in my politician, that you know where we are, you recognize where we are, and you know where you want to take us. That's it. You could talk about it. Half these motherfuckers can't talk about shit. Side note, I saw a clip of Kamala did the, what is it? The, oh my God, what is it? The town hall, the city hall, the whatever the fuck. And Trump didn't show up. It was with Anderson Cooper and all these things on CNN. And Anderson Cooper asked her, I think it's Anderson Cooper, asked her, basically her feelings about building the wall and, immigration and all those things. And she just kept talking about, oh, what Trump did. And Anderson was like, well, you said it was stupid. So, like, you're now proposing basically to finish building the wall he was supposed to build. But, like, Obama started building the wall and then Trump went to it. So, like, how do you feel now? And she was just like, we're going to strengthen our borders. Strengthen our borders is AKA build the wall, girl. Like, anyone can see that. You should have just came up with a very eloquent way of saying, in retrospect, you know what I mean? Hindsight is always 2020, and there is an issue going on in America and we need to address it. I don't know, something like that. But trying to act like you were so pro strengthen our walls and you weren't is kind of crazy. Like, it's kind of crazy, girl. But again, she doesn't like to answer questions. She likes to laugh and giggle her way through things. And that's why when people say she's an idiot and she doesn't know what she's doing, it's kind of hard not to believe them. That's all I'm going to say. Now, I don't know if we'll see JD Vance in office the next 4 years. I don't know how this thing is going to swing. The shit is crazy. But what I do know is them Democrats are pulling out the big guns. They are trying very, very hard to get their girl Harris up in that White House. So much so, they went and got Queen Bee, Beyonce. They were like, we need the beehive for this election. Now, I don't want to be attacked by the beehive. I used to be a part of the beehive. I used to be a huge, huge Beyonce fan. Went to a few concerts myself, I loved me some Beyonce. However, she started to give me very much bland, very much robotic, very much let's pull her off the shelf, pop her batteries in when we need to sell something or get something across to people. And I started to see that, and so I just kind of fell back. I was like, I don't know if I too much like her like I thought I did. Now, a performer, she is that. But other than that, I don't know too much about the lady to make me, care for her too much. So, when they announced that she was going to be at the Texas rally, I said, "Oh, okay. Okay. I see where they're trying to take the people, but it just wasn't enough to get me to believe that this isn't all for pomp and show, okay? Like this is literally just for show." And then she came out to introduce Kamala and I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, I guess, but like it's just too late for me. Like if the lady, speaking of Harris, if VP Harris can't get up and just answer a question or state her policies without just being like, well, Trump did. Well, what Trump had said. Like trying to paint Trump as the big bad wolf is so late. Like, girl, it's so late. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we are past 2020. We are past 2016. Like, it is so late, girl. Done. You know what I mean? Like, enough of the narrative of being like, he's the big bad wolf. You know what I'm saying? Enough. You still haven't answered any of Candace Owens' allegations about you not being black. We don't give two fucks about Trump being the big bad wolf, girl. Enough. Enough. Only to then have Beyonce come out and state all of this shit about freedom. What freedom is being taken away? And I was so confused at all the signs, freedom, 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 and Beyonce freedom, and we're gonna have this freedom song and freedom, freedom, freedom. And I'm like, what freedoms are we losing? Like, see, to me, that is so dangerous. It is so dangerous to go up and like fearmonger and like pump all this fear into people as if, God willing, God forbid, however the fuck you want to slice it, if Trump becomes president, oh my God, you know, all your freedoms are going to be taken away. That is very, very, very dangerous. And I don't get why the Dems feel that's the way to go. I think that is so insane. Like, there's so many things that you could get up and talk about. But the whole freedom, freedom, freedom thing. And then on the side of the podium that Beyonce was standing at, it said reproductive freedom. All Trump did was give the option for reproductive laws, regulations, and all these things back to the state. I still stand at, if you are in a state that, like, mind you, there are red states and blue states. If you are in a state, typically a red state, and they don't have the same views that you have on reproductive rights, fucking move. Because not for nothing, if it's a red state, I doubt it just stops at reproductive rights. It's a whole lot of shit they probably, got going on that you don't agree with. And if they don't, hear me out. If all you feel like being in a red state, the only worst part is reproductive rights, I promise you're probably more Republican than you think. So do with that what you will. But if that's the only thing that's making you be like, oh no, I could never, it's the worst, you're probably more, Republican than you think. Because if that's the case, take your ass to California. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of y'all aren't, because you like the way, especially financially, you like the way shit is running. Now all of a sudden it's a problem when it comes to reproductive rights. The whole shit should be an issue, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm off in that. Y'all let me know in the comments, because I could definitely be off in that. So, okay, Beyonce comes out with Kelly Rowland. She's talking and she gives a speech. She introduces Kamala. Great. Beautiful. I guess we love it, right? I'm a black woman, so I should probably love it. I couldn't help but wonder. I couldn't help but wonder if the Democrats, and this has been a thing as of late, if the Democrats are so worried, as people say, that black men aren't voting for Kamala, Why was it then that Jay-Z didn't walk out with Kamala? Because hear me out, okay? If I know anything about a black man, most of them loved him some Jay-Z. He could have literally been in the crowd just clapping his wife on, and the people would have ate it up. I don't think it resonated like they think it resonated because people aren't really fucking with Beyonce like that right now. I didn't see too many people going crazy about it. I thought my TikTok was going to be just, I didn't even know I didn't even know Beyonce had literally done her speech or whatever because I didn't see it nowhere. It wasn't until like the next day or 2 days later that I was like, "Oh, she did actually go and attend." Like I saw it nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. So I was like, I don't know if that works like they thought it was going to work, but it definitely did not. So my only question is, if you are worried about the black vote, where was Jigga? Where was Sean Carter? Y'all got Eminem coming out. You got Obama rapping all this shit. Where are the people that actually resonate with the black man? Because your policies that you put out, your policies wasn't it, baby girl. Your policies wasn't it. And then to put on there legalized marijuana, that was crazy to me. But anyways, I digress. I'm not even gonna touch that. But it's not resonating. It's not resonating because like Candace Owens has said, Mama, you're not black, so you don't know how to resonate. You don't know how to connect because you ain't it. Okay, it's hard to connect to something that you really aren't a part of. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, she's been missing it. She's been missing the plot. No one knows what the fuck this lady got going on. I'm not here to be like, I'm pro Kamala or I'm pro Trump. I'm not. I'm just saying she's missing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Trump got his own shit going on. When he sat up there, I forgot what state he was in, and he was like, no more questions, and danced for goddamn 38, 40 minutes. That is fucking wild. I also then was told recently that he did, like, he gave out French fries or some shit at a restaurant, and everybody in the restaurant were paid actors. Like, he's doing some weird shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a good look, but also the man was also tried. They tried to kill the man twice. You know what I'm saying? So come on. Also, not for nothing. I don't know. Someone trying to kill you twice, you gotta again think critically about things. Why are they trying to get this man out of here? Hmm? Hmm? In my head, I feel like there's one that's gonna play by whoever's rules, and then there's one that's not going to play by their rules. So we got to scare you away from one because one's going to be like, okay, you said do what? Okay, you said do what? She don't even understand what the fuck their policies are, but she's going out nodding and smiling and agreeing like she know what the fuck they talking about. Then there's one who's like, I could give a damn. I know what I want to do. So, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know. And that goes back to why I like JD Vance, guys. I like JD Vance because I see like that's a real politician right there. That takes me back to like he gives me very like JFK kind of vibes. And so, yeah. He's one to watch. He's one to watch. I'll just say that. Now, I really want to touch on Kamala. I feel like this whole episode I'm just going at Kamala, and it's it's not to be a Kamala hater. It's just a lot of the shit she does, I can't understand. So if you go on her Instagram, she put out this post that says souls to the polls or souls for the polls or something like that. Let me read it to you. Hold on. Because when I saw this, I was like, oh, this bitch is losing it. So it says, we have the power to make a difference in our communities and in this election. Now is a time to come together to show faith in action and service. And then she's like on this church podium with like crosses in the back. Her hand is like outreach, like she's touching the people. And it says, souls to the polls, putting faith into action. I hated that. I hated that because isn't it a thing where like church and state are separate? Like, isn't that a thing? So I was just like, girl, don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't bring that. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it. Don't bring that demonic shit over here to faith. You know what I'm saying? Faith ain't got nothing to do with that right there. Okay, like if anything, I feel like if you're a person of faith, you're like whichever way it go, we gonna be good. That's more of like a faith thing. Putting faith into action to vote for you, I don't know. I don't too much like where she was going. To me, also, she's never kind of showed herself as this big religious figure. So I'm like, girl, what was the point of this? Again, who is the target audience? Like when they do things, who is the audience for this? Who? And all the like fear mongering and the propaganda, and it's working with amongst people, but souls to the polls. That is some wild shit if I ever seen it. When I saw that, I was like, oh, we are fucking doomed. Because what do you, souls to the polls sounds like, I guess it's supposed to be a call to action, but it feels almost like what I picture, right? Is I picture like sheep without, without their soul walking in just blindly to vote for something. And it's like, I don't know. I just didn't appreciate it. I don't appreciate the gesture of her hand being out. I don't appreciate any of it. All of it is icky and gross. And I think whoever thought this was a good idea to put this up, to make this be the image for, I guess, like, I don't even know. Again, she's not someone that says she's religious. So is this supposed to be Christianity? Is this supposed to be like a Jewish thing? Because I'm pretty sure her husband is Jewish. Like, what is this? What is this? I don't know. I don't know. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And then to talk about her ads, we also had the 20v1 ad. And I will say, I'm not that dumb. I don't believe that the Harris campaign was behind that. You can't put up a little like call to action at the end and make me think that this was a part of the Harris campaign. I feel like if it was a part of the Harris campaign, they definitely would have put Kamala in it. They would have, you know, had her come out or something like that. You can't put up a little box, text box at the end and like paid for by the hair. Like, no, stop. Like, you can't do that. Whoever did that, that was really fucking corny and weird. I know the internet went crazy about it, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, this has nothing to do with the Harris campaign. I will throw her some bell there. I will, defend her in that way. I don't think that 20v1 video was her, but again, people love social media. People are addicted to it, and people are very, very stupid. Let's be honest. So they see things like that, and they're immediately like, "Oh my god, that did happen. Oh my god, that was." Use your fucking brain. That was absolutely ridiculous. I think somebody put it together to, make themselves popular, to make the 20v1 thing, the red balloons, like, give it some eyes to people who aren't viewing it, you know what I mean? And drive up traffic, but I don't think that had anything to do with um the Harris campaign. Now to wrap this up, what I will say, okay? This I will say. Um Going back to the black male vote and things like that, when that conversation was happening, it okay, let me walk y'all through my thought because what I'm gonna say is gonna sound crazy, but I won't walk y'all through my thought. I was listening to the Joe Budden podcast and they were talking about black men who are voting for Trump. And then they were saying, and black women are voting for Harris. And so they're having this debate, and like what I couldn't help but hear in between all of that was, again, I feel as though they're they're pulling black people apart as far as like, well, the black male vote is here and the black woman vote is here. You know what I mean? And I felt like that's a very tricky thing because then the conversation this week was I stopped being friends with people because of who they say they voting for. Hmm. You see how that can get very tricky? To say that and see, I don't know, my mind just works like this, right? To say that you're pulling this group is voting this way, this group is voting this way, then the next week the conversation is, and I stopped being friends with people who don't vote my way. Very, very, very slippery slope, that one. I don't like the conversation of, not being friends with people because they don't agree with your politics. If you take that stance, then just don't fucking talk about politics. It's very simple. The conversation really arises every 4 years. Every 4 years it becomes a big to do. But in between those 4 years, it's never a conversation. We have the election, we have the inauguration, and then we have the first 100 days. After that, nobody gives a fuck, nobody gives a damn, and we move on. So to say that you're not going to be friends with people because of their politics is just a little bit weird because on a day to day, it's a non factor. Word to Evelyn, it's a non factor. Like, no one cares. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be very cognizant of the things and the headlines and the order in which they happen because it is all, especially as someone who like went to school for this and like really studied, the psychology of it all, you gotta be careful because that'll get into your mind and then you might hear a black man say, yeah, I thought about voting for Trump, or yeah, I voted for Trump, the last election or whatever the fuck, and now here you are being like, oh, well, I could never. And it's like, bro, this could be a good person, but maybe they're what they got going on in their life at that time or now aligns with this. You know what I mean? And your life and where you are now just aligns with that. That doesn't make this a bad person. I think, you know, of course, you can then talk to people and in conversation, you can see, oh, you're that kind of person because just like there is the extreme people who are extreme on the right, there are people who are extreme on the left. Okay. So you have to understand that it's not just one side that's the crazy extremist, it's on both sides. Okay. So it's a tough thing. I think that we have to pay attention to that because I don't like again, I'm not too much into like my algorithm shows me a lot of things related to black people because I'm a black woman. So that's what my algorithm shows me. But I don't see now again, if I'm wrong, let me know. I don't see too much of the conversation of well, white men aren't voting for Trump and white women are voting for like I don't see those conversations. I only see them around black people. It's like it's always around black people, are always around who are black people going to vote for. It's never really around any other group, maybe Latino, sometimes Latinos, but it's like we're always the one where it's like, what do we do to get their vote? What do we do to get their vote? Anything you would do for anybody else. Tell us what your policies are. Tell us, how you're going to help our day to day or our, you know, um, communities and things like that. Talk to us about that. You don't have to go out and parade around with football players and musicians to think that that's going to get our vote. That's so it's so terrible. And again, I feel like I'm, beating a dead horse with saying this, but black people, you have got to stop thinking that, having them sit down with football players, basketball players, singers, rappers, that's just what it takes. That's not what it takes. And I think this election specifically is definitely going to let them know that that's not going to fly anymore. Okay. It's definitely not going to fly anymore. I see a lot more people talking about politics. I think a lot of people understand that there is money in politics. And so a lot of people are kind of taking that switch, especially like Charlemagne the God, taking that switch, trying to become I guess you could say a serious, um, like moderator, like talk show host, and I appreciate that for him. I applaud that. But Yeah, I just think that it has to change, and that can't be the only thing that they believe we like and we care about, because it's not, you know? That's why I don't like when the policies happen, it's always around like, um it's either like free money, drugs, prison. It's never things like, yeah, we're gonna go in and take a look at the like I always say, take a look at the education system. We're going to go in and look at, like, you know what I mean? It's never those things, or healthcare, you know what I mean? Making sure that, you know, families of a certain income have access to this or whatever. It's never that. It's always, here's how you can get free money. Here's who we can let out of jail. And here's the rappers that we're going to sit and talk to. And it's like, do y'all really think we are that fucking simple? They do. I mean, I can answer that question my own self. They do, and that sucks, and that's scary, but I guess it is what it is until, like I always say, until we ask and demand for more, they're just gonna keep giving us the fucking crumbs and being like, "I guess you like it." So, I don't know. That is what that is. That's all I got for you guys today. Definitely enjoyed talking with you guys. Again, as always, you know, leave your comments, let me know what you think, but if you're ready to debate, I'm not the one. I could give a fuck less. You would have to debate your granny because I just simply don't care. And with that being said, stay prayed up, stay dangerous. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Black and Classic Podcast with me, Brittany Monet, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.